Hey there, I'm Noah Walker, and today I am with the 9-year-old Miss AnnMarie Goss, and she's teaching us about forestry. What are you teaching us about today with forestry?
Forestry has many parts, but today we're going to be talking about forestry management.
Nice.
Hey y'all, AnnMarie Goss again, and I'm with my family's friend, Mr. Kevin.
Well, hey, AnnMarie, I hear today you want to learn a little bit about trees.
Yep.
So what I thought we'd do is just try to explain what it takes to go from this little seedling, as you can see here, go from that to this great big tree that we have here. So what that entails is about 25 years worth of growth. So we have to start out by preparing the ground to plant these trees. And what I mean by that, we'll go through these short videos and pictures and kind of explain how some of this works. But typically what we deal with after a harvest is this. That we've cut the trees and we're trying to get this area ready to plant back. So we've got all this this debris on site. So what do we do to try to get rid of some of this to prepare the site to plant? Typically what we have to do is start removing some of this debris, and what we'll do is run, this is called, it's not a real great picture, it's a little video here, it's chopper. So it chops all this stuff down before it gets it on the ground, and that helps us to get ready for the next step, which is to start piling some of this debris up into these piles. And how we do that is with one of these tractors that has kind of a rake on it, and we start piling this stuff up, get it in these piles. So then, a lot of our land requires us to pull beds, and what I mean by that, these areas tend to get wet, and so we have to provide a little bit of a bed to plant our seedlings right on top of to get them up out of the water when it gets wet. So this is what we use to pull these beds, and then another thing we use is something that's evolved over the last several years is herbicide treatments to kind of keep some of the competition down. So after we do all that, we finally get our site ready to plant. So it's been bedded, it's nice and clean, and we're ready to plant those little seedlings that we saw earlier in that picture. So here's how a common planting technique is by hand. We plant these little seedlings by hand now. Now you can use tractors to plant trees, but typically we're planting these seedlings by hand. And so this is about a year later. So these trees, it's hard to tell in this picture, but they're about 4 foot tall, 3 foot tall. And these are, you get a good survival, your trees are growing good. Here's another picture, about after the first growing season, they're 3 or 4 foot tall. I got a few pictures in here of, not only do we're growing this timber, but we also use these sites for grazing cattle. Cattle's a big industry that works well with timber. And then this is a picture, about 5 years later. These trees are 4 or 5 years old now, so you can see them starting to get taller. These trees are actually about 12 foot tall now, so 15 foot tall. So they're well over my head, they're way on up there. And another thing that we do, not everybody does, but we actually fertilize trees. Did you know that? We actually put fertilizer out. So one way we do that is by ground and by airplanes. So we put fertilizer out usually about every 5 or 6 years. We'll hit the same set of trees along to help increase growth. That's just a picture of the airplane at the airport that we fill up with fertilizer. And then as the trees grow, now you're looking at about a 12 or 13-year-old stand of trees. So at this point, we got to make a decision. Do we go see how there are a lot of trees out there, they're competing with one another? So then we go in there and thin them. And what I mean by that, we go in there and remove some of the trees. And this is a little bit of a source of revenue early on, so you don't have to wait all the way to the end to generate some revenue. So here's another picture of a stand that's ready to thin. And this is how we do it. This is a tractor that goes in here and takes a row out, and then he goes in here and he's taking a row out, and then he's also thinning some trees out on each side of him. So this is, you can see the trees here, and we'll go and take those and haul those to the mill. So once we thin, then we let them grow a little longer. This is after a thin. You see there's a lot more light there, a lot more room for these trees to grow. There's another picture of a recently thinned stand. So you want to give these trees more and more room to grow, so they'll start putting on some size to them, not just height, but we want them to get bigger and diameter. And then finally we get to that tree we looked at earlier, and this is usually about 25 years after the fact. So, you know, it's kind of like planting a garden.
Yeah.
But instead of having it in 3 months, you go in there and harvest your crop. It just takes us 20 or 25 years to harvest our crop. So yeah, that's kind of long time away. So, and there's a lot of other miscellaneous forest products that we generate off of forest besides just timber. So we have cattle leases, cattle grazing leases where cattle can graze out there. We have pine straw harvest where we rake pine straw. Palmetto berries are another source of income that we generate. And there's also recreational leases, hunting leases, that folks can lease land and go out and hunt and have some other recreational activities. And then timber's just an overall a very good environmental way to protect water resources. You know, it's a good filter for water. Carbon sequestration, that means trees absorb carbon dioxide out of the air, and guess what they emit? What do we breathe?
Air.
What's oxygen?
Oxygen.
That's right. So trees absorb carbon dioxide, which is not real good for us, and produces oxygen, which is what we breathe in. So yeah. Do you have any other questions?
Not that I can think of.
Not that you can think of?
Hi, AnnMarie Goss again. If you enjoyed this video, I want you to give a big thumbs up, like this video, and hit subscribe on your way out. Thank you.